Joe Catrambone, CEO of the Stuart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Talkin Business. Today I've got the pleasure of having Kimberly Brock, one of the managers at Plantation Storage of Stuart, as my guest. And I noticed in your bio that you've been with Plantation since 2021,
Correct.
and you had not been in the industry before, and so you had to be trained, I guess, or learn the storage business. So may I ask, what did you do before?
Prior to entering the storage industry, I was an asset protection manager for a very large nationwide company. So,
Corporate America, huh?
corporate America.
Down to storage.
And yeah, step down into storage.
So how did you get into storage? I mean, was it just an ad, did you answer an ad in the paper, or somebody you knew, or?
So I needed a little bit of a change to accommodate some circumstances in my personal life. So I needed to get away from that corporate kind of setting and the chaos of it. So I just kind of threw my resume out on Indeed. And actually the president of the company, March Chase, reached out and was like, listen, what do we got to do here? So we had several interviews and they got as close to the numbers as they could. And here I am.
So, because I'm not familiar, storage is storage. I'm going to rent a storage bin, I'm going to put my stuff in it, take the key and go home. So what intricacies do you need to know about managing a storage unit?
So to be honest, I came in thinking I was going to be bored out of my mind. That is not the case. It is very much similar to the asset protection industry in a lot of ways. So not only do you have, the idea of you're going to put your stuff in storage, it's simple, you slap a padlock on it, you're done. Well, we're a little bit different. So our facility was the very first Bluetooth facility in Martin County. And that means that we don't use your traditional locks, keys, codes, any of that. Everything is done directly off of your cell phone on an app developed by Noki, by JNS International. So you download this app, you have complete control over your entire experience. It's 24/7. You can share access with who you choose. You can take it away. We have motion sensors inside every single unit so that if, a rodent had gotten into the unit or someone tried to break in, it's going to notify you immediately that there's activity inside your unit. But that also, in a way, works for us at the facility because it also lets us know, hey, there's movement inside of a unit when there shouldn't be. So we can kind of follow up and see, is someone trying to sleep in their unit, kind of what's going on. So we're definitely above the bar on, development
How many
of storage.
units do you have in Stuart?
Right now we have 609.
All full?
We are not. We are roughly 80%. We just put in a new building, so it dropped our percentage down some. But yeah, we're moving right along. We're doing fantastic.
Typically, what's the average, if that's such a thing, the average storage unit size?
So when people talk about the average storage unit size, they're talking about something like a 10 by 10 or a 10 by 15. That's kind of your base size that most people try to get into. However, our facility is a little bit different. We have a lot of people in the area that do collector cars.
I was just going to ask you about that.
They have a lot of collector cars. So actually our hot commodity are our outside drive-up climate-controlled units. So it's a garage, but we've made sure there's AC inside of it and power so that you can hook up that trickle charge or anything like that. So that's actually the unit that goes the most.
People who own the antique cars,
Yes.
they leave them outside, they're going to rust. Well,
Exactly.
what a great facility. You can put your car in air conditioning.
Yes.
Who'd have thunk it?
Some of them even have cameras so that the customer can check on their babies when they're not
Yeah,
near.
some of those cars are pretty pricey.
Yes, they
pretty
are.
expensive. What's the most unusual thing someone wants to put into storage that you've ever dealt with that you think is unusual?
I'm not really sure I've come across anything necessarily unusual.
typical.
It's
Mostly
pretty
it's typical.
basic. I mean, we have everything from vehicles to furniture to, okay, I will say, We actually had an incident not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, where unbeknownst to us, a lady was storing her snake while she was at work in her unit. And as soon as we found out, of course, we told her you can't do that, but that was something that I found rather
Yeah,
unusual.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you put your snake in a storage unit?
I'm not sure.
Typically, is it long term with most people, or is it like if someone's in transient, and they just want a unit for a couple of months? What's your average?
So it's actually
lease?
a really nice mixture. So we have those that are moving or they've bought a house and they just need to store their stuff until closing. They're going through a divorce or there's probate going on with a home, so they're storing the items, pending all of that outcome. But a lot of our customers as well are commercial. So we have a lot of commercial customers that store their business goods there, and those are our long-term customers.
And I'm sure they're probably larger facilities, right?
Yes.
Probably doubles or triples or whatever.
Yes.
So is it, how do your pricing structure, if someone's going to take a unit for a year, is it less than if I was only going to take it for 3 months on a
Correct.
monthly? So the longer the stay or lease, the better the price.
So our leases only go month to month. So
Oh,
we
they do?
renew on the first of every month.
Oh, really?
We offer deals, basically. So if you know you're going to be there for a year, you can pay 10 months up front and we're going to give you 2 months for free. So on a unit
That's a deal.
yeah, on a unit that you're paying $300 a month for, you're going to save $600 in the year if you do it that way.
And gated, is it behind gates where
Yes.
people just can't drive in? So how do you have access to get in as a tenant? Do you have a remote, or you have a key to get in the lock or
So
the
that's right there on your app, on your cell phone. So you just pull up the app and the gate shows up on the screen. You just simply tap the icon and it unlocks the gate for you. And it registers everything, so you have a complete record of who comes in, what time they came in, what time they closed the gate, the unit. So it keeps a nice log. So if you share access with somebody and you noticed something's missing out of your unit, we can actually go back and look at the log and find out who came in, at what time they came in. And we actually have a lot of we have 79 cameras on site as well, so we can go back and see.
Do you have many incidents of illegal entry or people trying to?
We've been fortunate. We have not had too many legal instances. I think the worst thing we've had is one customer accidentally hit another customer's vehicle in the parking lot. I mean, we're very
That can happen in
fortunate.
public.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate that we haven't had a whole lot of issues.
But so when someone is, if I were in the market to put some things long term in storage, what should I look for? What values should I look for in a storage company?
So number one, you want to make sure that you know a few things. So one, is it climate controlled? What are you storing? Is it pictures, artwork, things like that? That definitely needs to be in a climate controlled setting. Otherwise, you can do a non-climate. Second thing is, the question to ask every single storage facility that you approach is, how often do you do rate increases? So we are individually owned and operated locally. So we do our rate increases maybe once every 10 to 12 months. And he doesn't hit you with anything big. It's a very modest, very fair rate increase. You have some storage companies, especially, like the more corporate setting, they will rate increase you every month or every 3 months. And so where you're getting that low introductory rate of $29, you're going to be right where we are 2 months down the road. So you just knowing those rate increases is probably the most important thing that I would say.
And so everyone has a schedule. So you're going to have a rate increase every year,
Right.
whether it be 2% or 3% or whatever it may be,
Right.
cost of living or whatever. So what would I keep in a storage that is not climate controlled?
You can do basic furniture, vehicles, tools.
But I mean, don't things rust or wouldn't furniture be?
So you got to look at humidity. Humidity is the big thing here.
Right.
So in our particular facility, the very tops of each unit are left with a gap. So that when someone 2 units down comes in and opens their unit, you're getting fresh airflow.
Okay.
So that humidity is not going to build up like it would in a normal storage facility with completely closed walls. So that's another thing to kind of look for if you're considering storing something in a non-climate setting. How, what's your airflow? What's the humidity going to be like? And for us, that's kind of why we do what we do.
So percentage-wise, you don't have to give me numbers if you don't want to, but compared to a non-air conditioned unit, and what's the difference pricing between the air conditioning and the non-air conditioning? Is there a big discrepancy?
I would say it's about a 25% increase
So
compared
25.
from outside to inside.
Okay. And there's no electric bill if the tenant doesn't pay an electric bill,
Correct.
so it's, okay. What percentage would you say of your units are air conditioned?
Probably about 90% of them are air
I would think
conditioned.
that. I would
Yeah.
think that. So, have you had issues with people trying to live in the unit?
We have had a couple, but that's where that motion sensor comes in handy because it lets us know, hey, there's movement in this unit at 4 a.m. So we go back and we follow up on camera, and most of the time I can tell them, listen, I know, and they'll not do it again. But
I had years ago when I was, in fact, I've been in Martin County since 1989, so this occurred back in Titusville when I was up in Titusville, so that's how many years ago it was. But I had he was a member of the chamber up there. He was a youngish, maybe mid-20s, and he rented 2 storage units and made them a living space.
yes.
And it was allowed. It wasn't that he couldn't do it, but he actually had an apartment in a storage, and it was fixed up nice. It was really good. But it always struck me funny that here's somebody living in a storage unit, But it was fixed up nice. It was really good. Do you have a profile of do you advertise a specific group of people, or do you just do blanket advertising, or there's got to be I would think, a niche market that you would target?
So, I mean, overall we're pretty blanket. However, in the area that we're located, our target area is a little more of Sewell's Point.
Upscale.
Yeah, just location mostly because that's going to be our clientele, is the people closest to us.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had several from different areas, and they're fantastic tenants, just the same as the rest.
As long as they pay their rent.
That's it.
They're fantastic tenants. They don't give you any problems. You don't hear from them. How good is that? Okay, so we're winding down. Is there something we missed that you'd like to talk about, or you'd like our viewers to know about?
I think that we pretty much hit everything on the head. I think that the big thing is the no-key system. It's just such an amazing system that I would have never thought to have a storage facility be Bluetooth and all digital and that sort of thing. So it definitely keeps it interesting. But I will tell you, our users from 18 years old all the way up to 80, I have customers that are 80 that absolutely love it. They just think it makes it so much easier to access, and they don't have to worry about losing keys and that sort of thing. So
It's in my pocket. Is that the most amazing thing we've ever?
it is.
I mean, you have a phone. You got about everything you need covered.
Yes.
You need information. You need to store stuff. You need to send messages. It's incredible. But what does an 18-year-old store in a unit?
Well, generally it's like bicycles, things like that.
Okay.
Clothing, transient
thrown it at a
kind
house
of
or
stuff.
something?
Yeah. But it's a wonderful place to work. The owners are fantastic. I can't rave about them enough. If you haven't met them, you should, which
That's
I know
great.
you have.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, just down to earth, fantastic individuals, and I couldn't be more blessed to work for them.
Well, Isn't that, is, how good is that?
Yes.
You know, it's like me, you know, people say to me, you thinking about retiring? Why?
What
I
for?
love what I do.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get there. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have the chamber to go to every day. So, but that's a wonderful feeling to be
It
content
is.
with some, you know, I've told my kids, I said, listen, if you're not happy in your job, if you need to get out because it affects your whole life.
It does.
If you're spending 8 hours hating what you're doing, what kind of life you have when you go home?
Exactly.
So I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Of
Thanks
course.
for being
Thank
a
you for
guest.
having us.
Okay.